To announce a superseding indictment against State Senator Shirley Huntley for falsifying business records, conspiracy, and tampering with an investigation of a scheme to steal taxpayer money using a sham not-for-profit that did not provide any services to the public whatsoever. As a prosecutor and a regulator of charities in this state, it is critical to me that people have faith in the integrity of our not-for-profits. Thousands of not-for-profits in New York State do excellent work, receive public money, and perform much-needed services. And that is exactly why our office, in cooperation with the Controller, has undertaken a comprehensive review of abuses of funding for not-for-profits, particularly in the area of legislative member items, to ensure that the public knows that its funds are going to organizations that are actually delivering services, and that it is not going to line the pockets of politicians, their cronies, or their families. So today, we have unsealed an indictment with serious charges that ought to remind the public that we are watching their taxpayer dollars carefully and should send the message that there is one set of rules for everyone, that even those in positions of political power are not above the law. As a part of our Joint Task Force on Public Integrity, the offices of the Controller and my office have been investigating a group called Parent Workshop, Inc. We began our investigation last March. The Controller joined with us last summer. And this was the evidence has showed very clearly that this was a sham not-for-profit funded by member items obtained by Senator Huntley, which funneled public money to the Senator's close aide, Patricia Savage, and to the Senator's niece, Lynn Smith. We also charged in this indictment a third individual, David Gant, and Senator Huntley herself, with orchestrating the cover-up for this theft of public funds. Today's indictment includes evidence that will prove that defendants Savage and Smith submitted fraudulent documents to the state of New York to obtain public money from a legislative member. Instead of providing the promised services that's set forth in those documents, Savage and Smith stole and pocketed approximately $29,950. The investigation revealed that after learning of the probe, Senator Huntley and others undertook to obstruct the investigation, and that Senator Huntley, in fact, the evidence will show, personally led this effort and hand-wrote a template for a false backdated letter designed to fool investigators into believing that the Parent Workshop had conducted seminars. This was an organization that was supposed to be doing seminars for parents to help them navigate the school system and improve the quality of education for their children. Important function. In fact, the evidence has shown that no seminars ever took place, and the Parent Workshop submitted a letter to the Attorney General's office in response to a subpoena. The letter purported to be from a group called the Southern Queens Park Association, inviting Parent Workshop back to conduct more workshops to make it appear as though they have. In fact, they hadn't. And we have, through our investigation, obtained this document, which is, the evidence will show Senator Huntley's handwriting. This is the first draft of the letter, clearly designed to be sent from, and the final version was sent from, someone purporting to represent the not-for-profit that was inviting the Parent Workshop to come back. As you can see, it is written across here, and again, the evidence shows clearly we have an independent handwriting expert's analysis. This is Shirley Huntley's handwriting, writing backdate, ASAP, and the document that followed will show that this was an effort to create a false paper trail. So we have charged today Senator Huntley with 3 counts. The felonies of tampering with physical evidence and falsifying business records in the 1st degree, and conspiracy in the 5th degree. Both tampering with physical evidence and falsifying business records are felonies, carrying a maximum sentence of 1 1/3 to 4 years. And under New York State Public Officers Law, conviction of a felony would result in the senator's automatic removal from office. Let's be clear. Falsification of documents, conspiracy to obstruct justice, tampering with evidence to block an open investigation are extremely serious matters. The individuals who scheme to profit at taxpayer expense and then to cover up their schemes and their theft will be held accountable. And I want to acknowledge again that although he could not be here today because of a scheduling problem, Controller Tom DiNapoli, our partner in this investigation, has, through our work on this joint project, an unprecedented joint project where the auditing and investigative functions of the Controller's Office are combined with the prosecutorial functions of the Attorney General's Office. We have ongoing efforts underway in many parts of the state and look forward to a very good and successful partnership that will produce more results for the taxpayers of New York by combining resources and avoiding duplication of efforts. And we're very happy that Nelson Scheingold is here today representing the Controller. So we have launched this effort. This is one example of the results. More to come, but we will, I'm committed, and I know the Controller is committed, to working as hard as we can to ensure that public confidence is restored, that taxpayer money goes for services delivered, and that no matter who you are, you can't get away with theft, with obstruction of justice, and we're going to make sure that every taxpayer dollar goes for the purpose for which it's intended, and that the good nonprofits in our state that perform such vital services receive the funding they need, and that sham nonprofits are put out of business as quickly as possible. I guess I'll take
a few questions on topic.
James will.
Courtney?
You can just say where you're from. Not like your hometown, but.
I'm Tony Aiello, I'm with Channel 2 News. Sir, you mentioned the public confidence being shaken. Looking at the broader picture in the last decade, you, if I recall, chaired the effort that led to the expulsion of State Senator Montserrat. You played a key role in that. You served with Senator Espada, Senator Kruger, Senator Bruno, Senator Libel, Senator Spano, Senator Villela. What the heck is going on that public official after public official after public official in the last decade is getting caught betraying the public trust? Can you take us inside the mindset in Albany in the state Senate that is leading to this plethora of charges against public officials?
I can't take you inside of the mindset of any of the individuals that you've mentioned, but I think that the way I view this, and as you mentioned, even when I was a state senator, and it was a lot harder to do then, I led the effort to expel a colleague of mine, Senator Montserrat. There are some of us who are very committed to cleaning up things in Albany, restoring public confidence in our state government. And I think what you are seeing is a manifestation of the fact that there are a group of prosecutors in New York now, federal and state prosecutors and local, that are more committed to public integrity investigations than we've seen in a long, long time. And I think that what you're going to continue to see from my office and from our partnership with the Controller and our partnership with other law enforcement agencies is a concerted effort to make it clear that this sort of conduct will not be tolerated and that anyone who abuses the public trust will be dealt with. This is something that to me is tremendously important. I've said this many times, but as someone who believes in government as a force for good, as someone who does believe that there are important functions that the public sector and publicly funded not-for-profit serve, I have to be the harshest critic of waste, fraud, and corruption in the public sector and in our not-for-profits. So our commitment to this is clear, and I think the list you read reflects an increased commitment and increased focus of not just our office, but of a group of prosecutors. And it's much, I believe that what you're seeing is that there is more firepower being brought to bear on this issue than there has been in the past.
Courtney?
Mr. Attorney General, is there any, you talk about how this nonprofit didn't hold these seminars. Is there any evidence that the senator was using this money for personal ends or for aid
The evidence shows, and the evidence will show, that the senator's aid to Patricia Savage and the senator's niece pocketed the money. And they had a system set up where they could get the checks cash and keep the money. We don't know exactly what they bought with it, but we know that they pocketed the money. We know that no seminars were ever conducted and that there was this fairly elaborate effort made to create documents to make it appear that those seminars had taken place.
Was the address of the not-for-profit the senator's own home and were checks sent to the home?
The nonprofit was originally set up by the senator before she took office, but then it was moved to a location in Nassau County. So that was the mailing address of Parent Workshop over the last few years.
Kirsten Cole, Channel 11. What brought your attention to this particular charity? How'd you find out about them? Did you have a whistleblower? Did you have somebody on the inside? What happened?
Shortly after I took office, we got our new Public Integrity Bureau staffed up. We started investigations. We began our discussions with the Controller's Office. And I can't comment on the specifics of the lead, but this is something that came to our attention along with some other not-for-profits that were subjects of concern. And we have in our continuing investigations into others, and I should also note, this investigation is ongoing. We still have more work to do in this particular area, although the indictment today is serious enough in and of itself. But we're continuing to look into matters related to this and other nonprofits that both connected to and unconnected to Parent Workshop.
I'm Colin Campbell with the New York Observer. Mr. Attorney General, Senator Huntley's lawyer has questioned the timing of this, as it's right before an election day. Do you have any response to that sort of insinuation?
No, I think the evidence speaks for itself. The original indictment was of December of last year. As a result of that indictment, we uncovered this other aspect of the cover-up scheme, and the timing has to do with court scheduling the grand jury. There's no basis for arguing with the evidence, so I suppose that's all she has to say.
Jacob?
Do you know when it was last time an Attorney General, New York Attorney General, criminally prosecuted a sitting state lawmaker?
I think this is the first time. Is this the first? I think this is the first time an indictment has been brought against a sitting lawmaker.
Ever?
As far as we know. We'll check.
Yes, the senator was in office for 40 years, you say?
No, I think she took office in 2006.
But I mean, he's been in public service for 40 years. Are you going to go further back, look at anything else he's been involved with?
I can't comment on that. This particular investigation relates to member items that were applied for and distributed in 2008 and 2009. And we are, along with our partners in the Controller's Office and our Joint Task Force on Public Integrity, looking into quite a few not-for-profits and quite a few uses and abuses of taxpayer funding.
Okay, last question.
Alex Silverman, WCBS Radio. You mentioned that Senator Huntley, this cover-up happened after she learned of the probe. Do you believe that she knew all along what was happening?
I think the evidence will show that this is that this group worked very closely together, and I think the evidence will show that not only was she the person who actually incorporated this not-for-profit, but that she was quite involved in the day-to-day affairs of Savage and Ms. Smith as they were operating it and as they were engaged in the theft of these funds.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you all very much.